Welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. Pull up a chair and kick up your feet as you get ready to enjoy some of the industry's most entertaining and actionable Dynasty content on the planet. We're talking veterans, rookies, sleepers, and oh yeah, you know the crew has those dad jokes ready for you. So let's not wait any longer and bring on the host or some combination of Doug and Tyler.
Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour. It is time we do the NFC. We did the AFC last week, training camp battles. I was at training camp today in the AFC. I'll have some thoughts on the Patriots maybe a little while. I know it's not the AFC. We did that last week, but it's fresh in my mind, so I'll make sure to share. Possibly. We'll see how generous I'm feeling. But we are here to do the NFC this week. Tyler Gunther is my co-host as always. My favorite redhead. How the hell are you, sir?
I'm good. First day off in 9 days. So felt refreshed, hung out with the family, took the kids to the park, had a pizza and movie night, watched the new Ghostbusters, which is a very
Frozen Empire.
Yes, it calls back a good amount to the originals, and I love it.
Nice.
Like it's very nostalgic. The classic Ghostbuster car noise.
One of your favorite gliders in Fortnite, if I remember correctly.
I did tell my wife that too.
Not that we play Fortnite, we're old.
Yeah, but I did tell my wife that that's one of my favorite gliders in the game, and she kind of looked at me like, "Whatever, nerd." But no,
Go touch grass, Tyler, on your day off.
No, it was a good day, and yeah, you went to camp. You saw one of my favorite rookie quarterbacks coming out, Drake May. So yeah,
you're not talking about Joe Milton? Come on.
Joe Milton is
he actually didn't look that bad today. I'm going to be completely honest.
He has the arm of Josh Allen and the mental capacity of Jamarcus Russell, but without the eating habits.
Yeah. I thought Milton, he had that easy power. Like, you know how Michael Vick used to just like flick his wrist and it was like, bye. He is very much like that. Just a quick flick of the wrist and it's coming in hot. I saw some of the guys that were catching balls that weren't receivers. They work for the team and whatnot. During drills, some of the guys were literally, you could see them kind of like bracing sometimes for
like
it.
Nervous.
So yeah, so that was fun. I'll give you my camp thoughts today. I thought Drake May looked good. You know, a lot of people were dogging his footwork. He'll need time. His footwork looked fine to me. I did notice one thing on his release. He was very accurate today. He only missed one really short dump off pass, was a bad one. It was a little behind and low to the, I think he was throwing to a tight end. That was the only like egregious miss. Jalen Reagor bailed him out on a deep one. You maybe seen it on Twitter or X. He threw it like 50 yards. He overthrew him, but Reagor reached out and grabbed it. He overthrew Reagor earlier in practice on another one, which in a game, I feel that Reagor could have made a better play on the ball. But I thought Drake May looked good. Although on some of his throws, he did have a little bit of a long motion in his throws, kind of like a long sling.
That's the worry.
So I don't think it's a no pads practice. It's literally flag football today. But I did notice it on a couple of the throws. It was a little bit longer of a rounded off motion. So that'll be interesting to see if he either works on that and cleans it up or if it's even an issue. I mean, we've seen guys like Phillip Rivers. Lamar doesn't have the most, beautiful mechanics. I mean, there's plenty of guys out there that throw footballs untraditionally. But I thought he looked good. He felt the pocket collapse a couple of times when they were running 11 on 11s, and he stepped up in the pocket and took off, which I like to see. Past practices with a guy like Mac Jones, it would have been like, sack, plays over. They would have touched him or not touched him, and they would have blown it. But they came in, he felt the pressure, he stepped up and took off. So that was nice to see, a little bit of mobility, which we've always seen. I know you like to compare him to Justin Herbert, and I think that is probably the closest comparison. Hopefully he has that ceiling. Even if he's 70% of Justin Herbert, I will be happy with that. But yeah, overall, rookie receivers, Jalen Polk looked pretty good. I got a selfie with him, so check that out on X. Seemed like a good kid. Javon Baker had a pretty bad drop at one point early on in practice, but looked clean otherwise. Jaheim Bell, who I kept my eyes on, definitely a different tight end in that group. You've got Hunter Henry, you've got Austin Hooper, who had a nice practice, was able to separate against linebackers. They lined him up in line, in the slot, and on the outside multiple times. So they were moving him around like a chess piece. And that was definitely noted because Jaheim Bell is one of my favorite UDFA rookie draft guys that I've been drafting quite a bit out of Florida State. So it was nice to see that. He could definitely win the number 2. I think he's probably going to be the tight end 3 because Austin Hooper has history with the offensive coordinator,
Ancient
Alex
history.
Alex Van Pelt. So I think he's a favorite of Alex Van Pelt. So Bell's the future, I think. As early as next year, he could be the tight end 2 there after Hunter Henry. And I'm okay with that because I liked his profile, and he's a Seminole. I always get a soft spot in my heart for those guys. And speaking of Seminoles, I have a soft spot in my heart for Cam Akers. Did not sign with the Minnesota Vikings, as rumored about last week. We all thought he was a Viking again. He was signed. That was not the case. He passed the physical for the Vikings, but they chose not to sign him or couldn't come to terms. And he signed with the Houston Texans today, who Joe Mixon missed his 3rd day of practice. It's Dameon Pierce running with the ones. They've got Jamar Jordan, and I think they still have Dare Ungabawale, whose sister is in Mazeballs, by the way. I don't know if you watch any WNBA All-Star game, but holy smokes.
Yeah.
She was awesome. So any input on Cam Akers? I think any landing spot for Cam Akers is a good thing. Let's get that out of the way.
Good for him to get a contract. Hopefully he makes a team. It's very doubtful he does, but I mean, who knows?
You never know.
He's a poor man's Dameon Pierce, and Dameon Pierce is a poor man's Joe Mixon. So it's like one of those. What are the things that you just keep taking them off, and then
the Chinese stacking dolls? Or the Russian stacking dolls? Russian stacking dolls, where it just keeps, there's another one inside of another one, another one.
Smaller, and then all of a sudden it's just a baby one.
Yeah. Yeah, that little baby one is the ghost of Steve Slayton. You remember who he is? You're an OG.
No, Andre Blue. Or what was his name?
Alfred Blue?
Alfred Blue.
That's Arian Foster's handcuff for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a name I have not heard in a minute.
Who else was there that was supposed to take over?
Dominic Williams. Remember he changed his name from Dominic Davis?
Yeah. What about
that's another?
Was it Andre Green, the first running back drafted by the Houston Texans?
Andre Green. I don't even remember that.
Yeah. I think it was after, who's the Detroit running back? Another Green from Boston College in like
William Green.
Yeah.
He was a Brown. He got drafted by the Browns, and then he went somewhere else and fizzled out of the league.
Yeah.
I have a McFarland Sports pick of William Green, believe it or not. I will raffle it off. I will raffle it off and give it away to anyone who gives a shit.
Come on, Green.
There we go. Amon Green was great.
Yeah.
All right. Rashad Green, another Florida State Seminole. All right, let's move on. We've chatted way too much, but yeah, practice was good. The turnout was overcast today. The practice was about 70% full. Overall, different vibe with Mayo there. He's very hands-on, almost not in the huddle, but very coaching, where Bill would kind of stand and twirl his whistle and not do much. And the practices were at 11 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. So definitely a regime change, which it was nice because I got there with like an hour before practice. I got to sit in the bleachers and get a good spot. So that was pretty cool. All right, let's get into our NFC training camp battles. We're going to start in the East, the beast of the East. Well, it can be some years. Let's start with the Dallas Cowboys. I've got my player that I'm looking out for from a training camp battle, but I want to hear from you first, Tyler, to see if we might be on the same page.
I think the training camp battle I'm looking forward to is behind Brandon Cooks. And that's like Jalen Tolbert. They got a couple of rookies.
You stole my guy.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking out for. I don't care about the running backs and Deuce Vaughn and all that. It's going to be Zeke and Dwaddle, and maybe they sign somebody. It's Dwaddle, Dwindle.
Dwaddle?
Who knows? Dwaddle.
Yeah.
I honestly am looking to see if Jalen Tolbert has kind of a resurgence. He's been a popular pick. Dak
was getting a lot of buzz.
Dak was big on him his rookie year. Dak was like, "Hey, I really like this kid. Let's take him." So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Maybe he's Michael Gallup, who we wanted him to be. Like, what if he is Gallup?
Just retired.
28 years old. Corey Davis situation. Here we are.
Yeah, just all done. I mean, after that injury, he was kind of washed, and then he signed. He got a good contract from the Cowboys, like 4 for $40. So he's living okay.
Yeah. Then signed with the Raiders and
then retired because he just didn't have it anymore. He just never fully recovered from that knee injury, unfortunately. The Cowboys. Here's the thing with the pass catchers. I think this is important because I don't know how many times they're going to run the football with Dowdle and Zeke Elliott paving the way. I know Zeke's a pretty good pass catcher, but I can't see Zeke getting 80 targets. I think they're going to go more 3 wide sets and open it up a little bit more. The other name I'm looking for is a very buzzy name. And he's probably a UDFA. If you didn't draft him in your rookie drafts, put in a waiver for Ryan Flournoy of the Cowboys. He's a guy that could make some noise here in the preseason. Or if you start to hear that steady drumbeat, you're on X, you're kind of checking what's going in training camp. That is always a good indicator of, if you hear a guy's name that you're not familiar with and you start to hear it louder and louder, like, Puka Nacua in years past and guys like that, where it's like, all right, this is the thing. Then I would say put in for him now if you got a roster spot. Don't wait. But if you're kind of waiting to see if there's any news, that's a guy that's on my radar. All right, let's move over to the Philadelphia Eagles. They signed Saquon Barkley. We don't know who's going to back him up. Is it Gainwell? Is it Will Shipley? I don't even know who else is there. Rashad Penny's gone. I think Boston Scott's still there. So he'll have his traditional 2-touchdown game against the Giants probably. But I think this one kind of goes the same as the Cowboys. Like, who is the third receiver here, right, Tyler?
Yeah. Didn't they sign somebody? I'm trying to think.
Devontae Parker.
No, there's one other person they signed. I can't remember. But there is vacated targets.
I'll tell you that.
No,
hold on, I'll look it up.
wasn't.
Keep talking.
But my main focus is actually on the offensive line. Like, I know this is a fantasy show, but the center is a big deal. And when the center leaves, for an example, when Alex Mack was the center for the Browns in the prime day, I mean, we all saw him in the movie Draft Day. When he was the center, it was like the focal piece of the offensive line. They had Joe Thomas and Alex Mack, and it didn't matter who they had elsewhere. That line was good because they had those two pieces. Then he went to Atlanta, and the Browns' offensive line kind of fell apart, even though with Joe Thomas. And Atlanta's offensive line was boosted up. So the center is a big deal. So I'm wondering if the Jason Kelce leaving really
can Cam
hurts.
Jurgens put some lotion on the line.
Exactly. And Kelce picked him out.
Yeah. The receiver you're thinking of, I believe, is possibly Paris Campbell.
Yes, Paris Campbell.
And they did sign John Ross off the scrap heap, by the way.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be Barkley, Goddard, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and check out.
I'm kind of interested in Aeneas Smith a little bit because he's a versatile player. I think he could make some impact on special teams, but maybe work his way. Because let's be honest, has Paris Campbell ever had a healthy season? Oh, quick fact check. Oh, what was that? No, he hasn't. So Aeneas Smith could win that third receiver job. Devontae Parker not listed on the depth chart here. I don't know where he went.
Retired.
He retired. Yeah, okay. So I thought he might have retired. And I forgot that the Eagles signed CJ Uzomah to back up Dallas Goedert, who is my least favorite tight end in Dynasty, I think, just because he's never done a goddamn thing. And everyone's like, Dallas Goedert. He's 28, 29 years old. Maybe he has a Gary Barnidge season in him where he's a tight end one and he's good, but I cannot do Dallas Goedert. Like, I'm so far out, it's not even funny.
I think for the past 3 years, we've just been kind of done. Like, because his hit games are nice. It's like 8 for 89 and a touchdown.
And they're like 3 a year.
Yeah, but when? And you're sitting there like, I got a tight end one. I'm good. You really don't.
No, you're not. No,
you're not good. He's a great backup tight end for Dynasty. Like, if you have him as your tight end too, fine.
He's decent for best ball. Cool.
Yes. But yeah, I agree. So. And I think with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith getting paid, like, it's going to be funneled. The passing game is going to be all funneled. And I think Barkley has one of his best years of his career.
I agree with that. And Scott Fishbowl actually took Jalen Hurts at the 104, and on the 2, I got Saquon Barkley. So I have cornered the Eagles rushing touchdowns. Go me.
Yeah.
We'll see if it works out. But I think Barkley is poised for a big year in front of.
Goddard has a nice floor by B. Cole in the chat. If you like a floor, like there's a basement, and then some houses have like
there's a subfloor,
like where all the bodies are hidden. That's Dallas Goedert's floor.
Yeah, I mean, a safe floor is what, 6 or 7 points a week.
Yeah, I mean, for tight end, I want safety with upside.
He had 3 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, if I'm going tight end, like I'd rather have Njoku by a mile than Dallas Goedert, because I've seen Njoku have like 100+ yard games. Dallas Goedert, I feel like it's like, ooh, we got one. What year
Dallas Goedert has been in the league for 5 years. No, 6 years, and he has 22 total touchdowns. And in 6 years, he has 3,500 yards.
No.
So he's averaging about 600 yards a year. That's really not sexy or impressive. I'm just so out. He's just not my guy, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree.
Let's move on. Thank you, B. Cole, for the comments. Keep
yeah,
coming,
he's in our list. He's in our listener league. Great guy.
Uh-huh.
Great.
Yep.
Great manager.
Let's move on to the new regime in Washington, D.C. The Commanders. We all know they made moves in the draft. They picked Jaden Daniels. They are hoping he is the franchise going forward. Yet another team. I think we have a pretty good idea how the backfield is going to shake out. Maybe we don't. But again, pass catchers. Outside of Terry McLaurin, what am I looking at?
Jahan Dotson. Like that's one of my biggest buys in the offseason. I really
hope he bounces back. I like him.
I really think he's in for prime season. He's the guy that's going to get more of the targets. What if Diami Brown comes out of nowhere? Undertaker gif.
I feel like he would have done it by now, but
yeah. But
what if Luke McCaffrey's the guy?
Luke McCaffrey's gotten some buzz. Ben Sinnott, like
that's my guy. Although they said Ertz today was not here to coach and he was there to play. So I was like,
yeah. So for me, I would have to say the battle I'm looking out for is actually the running back behind Eckler and Robinson. Is it Chris Rodriguez?
He looked good.
I think Chris Rodriguez might be the buy because if I remember correctly, Brian Robinson Jr. isn't the picture of health. Like he had a couple good seasons.
He got shot, Tyler.
Well, yeah, in the butt. But
all right, quick trivia: who is fourth on the depth chart for the Washington Commanders right now? If you can name him, I'll be impressed.
Is that one? No, it's not.
It's a blast from the dynasty past. I always think of
Patterson,
the Podfather. Nope. I always think of the Podfather when I think of this player because he was in on him and he's been nothing but a trash heap in his career.
Philip Lindsay.
No. Jeremy McNichols.
Oh, Jeremy
How
McNichols.
Is he still in the league?
Wow. Jeremy McNichols.
Yeah, the Podfather swing and a miss on that one.
Hey, and Tim Keller of Dynasty Happy Hour. But that's because he had Boise State bias. So
yeah. That BSB. It happens.
BSB.
Jamison Crowder also on the roster.
Back in Washington, where it all started.
For like the fourth time, I feel like. So yeah, I agree with you. I think Eckler is dust. I think if I want any of these guys, Robinson's price is actually still relatively affordable.
He's the cheapest RB2 you can get.
Yeah, 100%. I would happily give up a mid-second for Brian Robinson.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, because he looks really, really good. So, all right, let's keep it moving to the New York Giants, the stars of preseason Hard Knocks.
I haven't seen the latest episode, but I heard it is not
I haven't
great.
either.
I heard the GM. I forgot. I've seen
every episode. Neighbors over Marv.
No,
that's what I've heard.
And apparently there was a kid in the room that was like, Jane Daniels, go get Jane Daniels. And he's like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to trade up. Like,
I mean, it's a big commitment, right? If you're going to move from 6 to 2,
and you're trading,
you're going to have to pay that first, 2 more firsts, a player, God knows what. Like, I don't blame him for not doing that. Yeah. You just paid Daniel Jones, like that'd be a mess.
But it's a good thing Malik Neighbors is not in strip clubs throwing hundreds all over the place.
That is a beautiful thing.
He is.
Well, he's not right now, is he?
He was this offseason.
Yeah.
I'm not
making it rain. Yeah. I'm interested in this backfield because we've got Devin Singletary, who watching Hard Knocks, they were like, all right, if we don't sign Saquon, Brian Dable knows him from his Buffalo days. They were targeting Motor Singletary and they wanted him. So he's going to be their guy. Now, behind him, I know the hot name in Dynasty has been Tyrone Tracy Jr., former receiver converted to running back. So a lot of people, especially
DJ
Antonio Gibson, anyone? Yeah, Antonio Gibson, anybody?
Yeah.
So I'm not bought in on Tracy. He's a little bit smaller. He's a little bit of a jitterbug. I don't know. And then Eric Gray, who I actually like a little bit more because he's cheap. He's free. Behind Singletary, he's the kind of 2-down guy that I'd want. Tracy is not a 3-down guy. He's going to be a 3rd-down back at best, maybe a gadget guy. I don't see him making a huge impact unless you're in like Fishbowl and he returns kicks or something. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Singletary's been pretty healthy over his career. I can't remember the last time he missed multiple games. I feel like
Gets
it was
oil
like
changes consistently. That's why motor keeps running.
that's right. He's using synthetic oil and he's keeping his joints all lubed up so he's ready on the field. That's why we move so quickly. I mean, he reminds me of like the Dollar Tree version of LaShawn McCoy. He always has.
I think you say
he's
like a
got
Mini
that-
Cooper from Italian Job. You can just fit into tight places, move
That's some
around real
early
good.
Charlize Theron, so I'm into it.
Yes.
So
And Mark
yeah.
Wahlberg.
And Mark Wahlberg. And who else is in that?
It's a
Ed
great
Norton.
movie. That's all I know.
It is
Ed
a
Norton.
good movie. But these pass catchers, did you know that Allen Robinson is a New York Giant?
Yes, I actually did. Surprisingly, because
yeah,
the
Miles
footballers-
Boykin is a name from the Blast from the Past.
the footballers actually had an episode and they actually had no idea he was on the Giants. And then, yeah,
Nope.
like they're like, wait, he's on the Giants? Wow, he might actually get some playing time.
Yeah, the reports out of camp today were that Wan'Dale Robinson, a lot of passes underneath
Well,
from Daniel
with-
Jones. They're working on getting the ball out quickly. I think he's a buy because he was missed a lot of time in his rookie year, missed some time last year, but once he came back, he actually looked really good.
yeah, the tight ends for me, I think Neighbors is the target hog, and Wandell is fine, but for competition, I want to see the tight end battle. Daniel Bellinger, Theo Johnson. I think Bellinger is going to have an eye on the job, just one.
Well, Theo's already missing time, so
Yeah, and Bellinger was a very hyped player himself, a 4th-round pick.
and then
3
he got
years ago.
jacked last offseason. He was a beast.
Yeah, beast, and then he got his eye poked out. Like he's had a rough go at it, but this is about the time when rookies hit. So if you can go get Bellinger for like a 3rd, he could be.
Or you
a
could probably
start-
get him cheaper than that.
Yeah, I would give
Yeah.
a 3rd. So Doug, I
Okay.
think you have him. So just
I have him in a lot of spots. You know me, the tight end hoarder. There's gonna do an episode of me. My house is gonna be clean, and then they go into my fantasy rosters and they're like, "How many tight ends do you have? You have a problem." And I'd be
There's
like,
nothing.
"I can't let him go." They're
Well,
like, "He's
this
not
is
even
my
in the league
holiday.
anymore."
This is my
Like, you-
holiday tight end.
I'd be like, they'd be like, "You still have Gronk on your roster." I'm like, "But what if he comes back? I can't drop him. I need therapy."
It's so true. And if you watch an episode of Hoarders, it's cringe. Like I watched one where a lady was picking up pans off the floor. She goes, "This is my favorite pancake pan," and I'm like, "What?"
And she hasn't used it in 15 years. It's covered in mold. They
Yeah.
obviously those folks have some mental
Yeah.
problems, and I hope
Oh,
they
yeah.
work through them. But yeah, I'm a tight end hoarder, and I admit it. So be it.
That's the
I'm
first step.
I'm waiting on the late breakouts forever and always
Yes.
when I need to. Any other comments on the New York Gigantes?
No. I really like the offseason Hard Knocks for Dynasty players. Like this is our
Same.
favorite Hard Knocks. So the only unfortunate part is we are seeing how incompetent their GM is, and Michael Lombardi
I
for
don't
as
think
much
he's.
as
I don't think he's that bad, actually.
Michael Lombardi for as much crap as I give him, I think he's hitting the nail on the head with the Giants GM and just how he's kind of like a new kid at the school talking to people and he's not like he doesn't have a plan. He's just kind of like, oh well, maybe we could do this instead. Like he's like us in Dynasty, like like me in Dynasty, I should say.
I will tell you, watching their scouts and everything, and them talk about players, I thought to myself, I could do this. I could totally do this. Like they're talking about players, and I'm like, I could do this.
Like even the footballers they came on said like this is all they do. Like I could do this. Like every single person I've talked to in Dynasty is like this is like a job we could all do. So
I feel that that's
pushing for it.
accurate. Yeah, I feel it's accurate. I felt like I knew more about some of the players than they did, and I was like, I could do this full time.
And I think the thing with NFL GMs is like us, we kind of look at big boards like, oh, 1st-round picks. Like these guys are slated to be 1st-round picks. And I think NFL GMs try to get too cute. New England Patriots in the 1st round. They try to get too cute, and they're like, well, if we
Cole
hit on
Strange,
this guy,
anyone?
yeah, if we hit on this guy, here we go.
Oy.
Like this is big time, and they never do.
Not that they never do. They have. It's been a minute. I mean, Christian
Yes.
Gonzalez looks like the real deal. So,
Yes,
and that was just last year. by
but
the
he
way.
was supposed to be a top 10 pick. Like there's a big difference. Not like,
Yeah, he slid
oh,
down.
this guy's a 3rd-round pick.
I'm
Guard.
just glad the Commanders took the kid that they took, Forbes, because he's not good, and he went right before Gonzalez. So thank you
Yeah.
to the Commanders. There we go. Boom. All right, let's move on to the NFC West, where we've got some drama in this Niners depth chart. Ricky Pearsall is on the PUP list, so he's missing valuable training camp time. Brandon Ayuk is in like a hold in. He's not practicing, but he's there. They re-signed Juwan Jennings to a long-term deal. The backfield, we think Elijah Mitchell's the backup. They draft Isaac Garendo. They still have Jordan Mason. A lot going on for the Niners, Tyler.
Cody Schrader, the UDFA.
Who are you keeping an eye on?
For me, it is the backup running back. And personally, like Pearsall missing apparently is something he tweaked something in personal workouts. But San Francisco knew this was coming. They have to pay Brock Purdy next year. So they have an issue.
Or at least franchise him. So, yeah, which is going to cost them like $30 million.
This is where the issue's coming in. Like, yeah, you guys got by forever not paying a quarterback. But now, like, you guys got a top 10 guy, what it looks like. So now you got to pay up. You paid McCaffrey last year or this year. You paid Nick Bosa. You got to pay Trent Williams.
Debo.
You got
something's got to give.
Yeah, like you've got like is Trent Williams,
Fred Warner's making like $20 million a year.
Yep, like they have a lot of cap spread out throughout this team, and they've got the biggest contract they're gonna have to worry about Brock Purdy coming up. So if it's reworking McCaffrey's deal, which
I think they already did actually,
but like Debo's kind of like not happy with his contract. Trent Williams is holding out completely because of his contract. And now you got Ayuk, who I think is a very good receiver and deserves money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you can't pay all of them. But even though the cap's going up, you can't.
It was rumored that the Patriots were going to give up, or they offered pick number 34 for Brandon Ayuk during the draft, and the Niners turned them down. I don't know that any team is going to give any. They're not going to get a first for him, right? Because you got to get him, then you got to pay him $28 million a year. So there was a debate, like on the Sports Hub here in Boston, was is that price too rich, just right, or not enough? I think it was just right because you know if they gave up 34, think of it this way: the Bears gave up 33 for Chase Claypool, and they didn't have to really pay him, and he was trash anyway. But to get Ayuk, a guy that year over year is getting better and better at running routes, if you look at Matt Harmon's reception perception, Ayuk is on his way to being an elite route runner. I actually think that Ayuk has the potential to be a Devontae Adams type of player if he was the number one featured guy on an offense. I feel that he can make that kind of impact. So for me, the Patriots ended up using that pick on Jalen Polk. I would much rather have Brandon Ayuk, even if you had to pay him, because they still have the most salary cap available in the league. And it would have been a great move. You sign him for 4 years to shadow Drake May's rookie contract. And then in 4 years, you assess it then.
Yeah, which will be 30 because Ayuk's already 26. He'll be 30 then. And which is when
perfect
you kind of
timing.
Yep. So I agree. And the only issue I have is like AJ Brown got a first round pick for him. That is because Tennessee panicked. Like Tennessee went ultimate panic. AJ Brown was,
and they thought Treylon Burks would be a replacement.
Yeah, and that never happened. So, like that's why 49ers took Pearsall in the first. If they could have had the other first, they could have taken another receiver. Who knows who they had taken? But yeah, the 49ers are kind of digging themselves in a hole with all these contracts, and you're going to see them fall into what New Orleans Saints did with like Drew Brees and Michael Thomas and all that. Like they're going to be paying in the future for it because they're going to keep pushing the contracts down the line, and that never really works.
Yeah, and keep an eye on camp reports for Jacob Cowing, another UDFA guy that could have slipped through your drafts. I liked him coming out of school. Target monster, good underneath. You know, Debo's 28 going on 29, making big money. Not to say that Cowing's a replacement, but he could be the future slot receiver for the Niners potentially. So
yep, and my favorite like cheap play is Cody Schrader. Isaac Rendo, if you watch his tape, like people are like, oh, maybe he's
fast.
He runs like Tarzan, plays like Jane. And Cody Schrader is the opposite. Looks like Jane, plays like Tarzan.
He's a dog.
Yeah, like he's a walk-on, ran for like a crap ton of yards. Like this guy is the ultimate 49er type player.
Yep. I agree. All right, let's move on to the Los Angeles Rams. Kind of wide open here after Puka and Cooper Kupp, is it not? DeMarcus Robinson, a little bit?
Yeah, they paid DeMarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell. Isn't he still on the team?
He's still on the team. The rest of their depth chart after Robinson and Atwell is Xavier Smith, who I've never heard of, Drake Stoops, who probably shouldn't be in the league, Jordan Whittington, who's a rookie that a lot of people do like.
Yeah.
He's another guy that I've taken waiver flyers on. But outside of the top three, and then you got to remember Tyler Higbee's injured with an ACL. He's already on the PUP, and they have Colby Parkinson and Davis Allen and Hunter Long, who obviously never be a thing at this point.
Yeah. So those are my two, like Colby Parkinson, who is a nice pass catcher. He's had major upside everywhere he's been. And isn't
Davis Allen, I do like.
Isn't Colby Parkinson the one that doesn't have a pinky finger? I'm pretty sure one of the guys from Wisconsin. Is he from Wisconsin? Because no, I think he's from Stanford. No, the Wisconsin tight end, one of them actually didn't have.
Oh, that's the kid that was on Denver.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But Colby Parkinson has been a really good pass catcher. Like, I think he's from Stanford, which comes out with it's like the top 6 of tight end U. So yeah, I really like him. But Davis Allen is also another very good tight end. 5th round pick, showed up a little bit in end of last year when Higbee was hurt, and you have him everywhere once again. So I'm really looking out for the tight ends here.
All right, I'm going to give a shout out to our old co-host, James Crease, FF_chef. The tight end who had a cup of coffee with the Patriots, by the way, was Troy Fumagalli.
Fumagalli, yes. Phalangigallis, because he only had 9.
Yeah, Fumagalli. Hey, wow, beautiful pasta. All right, let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals. I think who are kind of exciting for fantasy this year because there's a lot of unknowns there, but we also have some knowns. First of all, they've got a backup at running back after James Conner. They draft Trey Benson. Trey McBride is the tight end one, clearly.
I love Trey McBride so much.
McBride's awesome. But they draft Marvin Harrison Jr., which is a great fit, I think, for Kyler and for Marv. After that, though, it's real. Who's going to get some targets? Zay Jones? Is it Greg the Human Dortch? Is it Michael Wilson? Who is it?
I would say Michael Wilson, Zay Jones, and then Dortch is the 4th receiver again. I think Zay's going to play a bigger part than people think. When he hit free agency, I was like,
Zay's good.
Yeah, he's a good receiver. Do people forget how highly touted he was coming out of college? He destroyed the Senior Bowl. Like, he was so good in the Senior Bowl. People loved him. He was a finesse guy, route runner, and then went nuts on a balcony in a hotel.
Yeah. And then rebounded his career with the Raiders and then the Jags. Yeah. He had some solid fantasy weeks.
And everybody remembers when he pretty much matrixed himself up
on the left sideline against Kansas City.
Yeah.
Still the craziest video. And it's not doctored.
Yeah, people are still trying to figure it out. So Zay, I think, will get a lot of play. And Michael Wilson, I know there's hype for him and everything, but I think I'd rather put my chips on Zay for a 4th rounder. And I think you're going to get wide receiver 5 for your dynasty team, which will be great on bye weeks. I mean, why not? 4 for 50 and hopefully a touchdown. Maybe you get 4 for an 80 and a touchdown, a bigger game. So yeah, but I think there's really no camp battles here. It's in stone. It's Trey McBride. It's Marv. It's James Conner and Trey Benson, and then Kyler. That's it.
You are forgetting one name. I don't think Trey Benson is going to be a 3rd down back. And I think that Michael Carter looked really, really good last year for the Arizona Cardinals once they traded for him or picked him up. I still believe in Michael Carter. Call me a fool. It's fine. But as a 3rd down back who could catch, let's say he catches 40 passes, I'm okay with that. And he'll be a free agent at the end of the year. I still think Michael Carter has juice, so I still believe if I have a deep roster, I'm still rostering him.
Who are you believing in more, Javonte Williams or Michael Carter?
I mean, Javonte seems to be the Twitter upsy downsy of the week. Everyone was dogging him, and then all of a sudden he lost weight. He had all first-team reps. It looks like Samaje Perine going to have to compete. I mean, Javonte has the role, so I'm going to believe in Javonte, but I still believe in Michael Carter as being a good NFL player.
These two were so good in North Carolina, and now their careers have just been derailed for no reason. really.
Yeah, the Jets really mismanaged Michael Carter, in my opinion.
100%. And
Yeah.
I think Denver and Sean Payton is just poo-pooing on Javonte. Maybe it's like, hey, get your butt in gear, which is fine. Some people need that. And Javonte could come in just blazing and destroy because say another year off the ACL. I mean, this is a Denver podcast right now, but I think Javonte, people are sleeping on him.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to the last team in the NFC West. They've got a new OC, Ryan Grubb from Washington. So that's exciting because their offense was a downfield-heavy vertical passing game, which for the likes of Metcalf, JSN, Tyler Lockett, we love to see it. I would also love to see them use the tight end a little bit more. They did re-sign Noah Fant. I was actually hoping he was going to re-sign elsewhere. But who you got that you're keeping an eye on for a training camp battle? Is it the wide receiver 4 on this team? Like, everything else seems relatively set in stone.
For me, it's the quarterbacks.
Oh, Sam Howell. All right.
Sam Howell and Geno. So Sam Howell, I really like coming out of college. I know James loved him, but he looked good last year. And that offensive line was trash. It did him no favors. And he busted his ass to make every single play. Imagine having an actual competent offensive line and what he could do with it.
I mean, he led the league in passing through 11 weeks.
Yeah. And Geno, I have to say, people are like, oh no, Geno's not on a short leash. I think he's on the shortest leashes. Like, they gave up a good shot. Like, they gave up a 4th and I want to say like a 6 for Howell.
They let Drew Lock walk.
Yeah. Howell was a 5th round pick. So they paid an extra pick plus a 6th rounder to get Howell. I get it's a quarterback and all that, but you got to remember, Justin Fields went for nothing. And Howell went for a 4th. So this team has shown, like, we like this guy. We want him in here. And I think he fits the mentality of
more of a gunslinger.
Yeah. And I don't know. There's something about Howell with this team I really like.
What would you give up for Sam Howell in a super flex league?
If I mean, a 3rd, but it won't get it done. And let's
2/3?
just say, but I'm going to say, let's just say you don't have 2/3. I would, maybe 2 future thirds. So 25 and 26 third, I think I would do. You might have to give up a 2 because the person who has Howell probably believes in him and thinks he's a good quarterback. So that is the issue. With this offense, I'm actually looking at Zach Charbonnet too. And I've loved trying to go out.
Still a sneaky value.
Yeah. He's a great running back in a very run-heavy system. That he could be the Gus Edwards to the J.K. Dobbins running back field that they wanted in Baltimore, but never turned out because they're both unhealthy. This could be it. This could be the version. And I mean, they compare very well, like Edwards to Charbonnet and Dobbins to Ken Walker. So I really like this team. I think this team's another on the up and up.
I had a comp speaking of Ken Walker, I was thinking as I was driving, as I often do, because I drive, kids have been in camp this week. I'm driving all around God's creation. And I had a random thought. My comp for Trey Benson was Ken Walker. Because Ken Walker isn't good from carry to carry, but he's going to hit that home run. And that feels like Trey Benson. Like, I don't think, like, watching him at Florida State, there was a lot of 2-yard runs, and then 40-yard run.
So
I think Walker's a better player because he's more physical, but Trey Benson seems like that boomer bust kind of running back. I could be wrong, but my mind as I was driving, I put the 2 and 2 together, and I made 4, believe it or not. So.
What about Darren McFadden? That could be who Trey Benson is.
Benson's got more wiggle. McFadden was more of the upright. McFadden was like Tevin Coleman to me.
Yeah,
I can see that a little bit. He's going to be kind of maddening. We'll see.
What about 40% of Adrian Peterson? Because I think Adrian Peterson is a top 5 running back for me.
Like, of all time?
All time.
Yeah.
So
if he was 40% of that, he'd still be pretty good. So
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if he's 40% AP, that's outstanding.
All right, we're going to play one more game before we move on to the NFC North. It's called The Ghosts of Dynasty Pasts on the Seattle Seahawks roster. His name, and I was big into him, and I missed bigly. Laviska Shenault is still in the league. He is on the Seattle Seahawks.
Laquan Treadwell just signed somewhere today, too. So
Colts? I think he signed with the Colts today.
Yes, He's a good blocking good blocking receiver. So
Yeah, sure.
He gets in the way of himself too. So
Clearly. All right, let's move on to the NFC North. Probably the deepest division in football, even maybe. Well, AFC North's pretty deep too. I'll say the deepest division in the NFC. Let's leave it at that. Let's go with the Detroit Lions. A lot of Jameson Williams buzz this week.
Oh, yeah.
He seems to be the Twitter darling of the day.
He looks bigger,
looks different,
faster, stronger.
It's the stride for me. He looks different, like a different player. I don't know why I said
probably
it like that.
it's maybe because he's healthy and maybe he's got a little confidence.
Maybe he's got his head screwed on right.
He's probably one of those players that needs like a Tua, where he needs confidence from his coaches to feel good, and then he'll start playing good. I don't think he's a buy, because if he doesn't hit this year, you're looking at a Burke style fall.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Khalif Raymond is their wide receiver 3 right now. Slot guy. I've always liked him, but
they need it. They need another receiver, and Jameson could be it. But when you've got
Donovan Peoples-Jones, is he ever going to be a thing? Probably not.
Like they gave up some good capital, and I still really like him. I keep forgetting he's on the team, and they paid him. Like, they gave him some money, so you never know. But I think they really want Jameson Williams to be the guy.
Emerge.
I mean, So if there is anybody to come out of the woodworks, which isn't really true because his price is going up, it's probably like an early second now. Jameson Williams is probably going to be it, but still, I don't know if I would buy him. And Gibbs, like this is another one of those offenses like the Cardinals, where it's just, the pieces.
It's pretty set in stone.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to do another Ghost of Dynasty Past on the Detroit Lions. That ghost is named Traquan Smith.
Wow.
Still in the league. He's on Detroit's roster at this moment. I like this segment. This is fun. The Ghost of Dynasty Past. Big play, Trey. Yeah. Catching bombs from Drew Brees here and there.
On the other side of Michael Thomas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to Green Bay. Again, like the Lions, I think it's kind of set in stone, but I am intrigued by this wide receiver group.
Yeah.
I want to know how you feel about it.
So I think Jaden Reed is wide receiver 1. And I honestly, just like Jameson Williams, they want Christian Watson to work. Like, I feel like they really want him to work. It's just, when you're having an off season, you're sitting there like, yeah, I'm really trying to get my hamstrings to be better. Like, that's your main focus. Like, I need my hamstrings to hold up.
I think they changed the gait of the way that he runs to help him with his hamstring, is what I heard.
Which, I mean, be honest with me. If you've trained for 6 months to run different and how you run.
He's so weird.
And then you're in the middle of a game and you start running. What's going to happen? Your old instincts are going to kick in, and you're going to run the same.
Yeah.
It's just like throwing the ball, and people are like, we need to change your throwing motion. Don't change it, because you're just going to mess with him mentally, and he's going to overthink. Mm-hmm. Like, just like Pat McAfee on his show a couple days ago, they're talking about Anthony Richardson, and Dan Orlovsky is like, let him be him. Like, don't try to change him, because he
get cute.
He is him for a reason. This is why he's here. So, and I think that's the same with like throwing motions and running. I just think it is what it is with Christian Watson. If he's not going to be healthy, he's not going to. Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks are the two that I am really interested in. And then Luke Musgrave, of course, one of my favorite tight ends last year.
Yep.
I think he's in for a big year.
Oh, I just have breaking news. What is that? Go ahead. Oh, A.J. Dillon is in the best shape of his career, Tyler. They just said his hamstrings have doubled in size. How is that even possible? I think he's going to get a sponsorship for Chub Rub in Green Bay because his legs are so thick.
He's wearing and one basketball shorts for tights. If you don't get that joke, you are too young, and you will never get that joke.
Yeah, the A.J. Dillon best shape of his career season is upon us, and this is what we're looking forward to.
Better hope it is, because if he doesn't have a good year, he's out of the NFL.
He's out of the league. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be a coach at Boston
That's
College.
For real. It's Marshawn Lloyd who's going to emerge second half.
Yeah.
Who, if you're not buying Marshawn, go get him.
Yeah. No spooky dynasty players on the Packers, unfortunately. So
that's because they're very young, and they're going to be. They're going to be stupid good for the next how many years? Thanks, Packers. But I do love
Yeah.
the fact that Jordan Love hit.
Oh, of course you do. You're a big Love guy. Looks like he's going to get paid any day now too. So
Yeah,
you
probably
love
around
to
Trevor
see it.
Lawrence, 55 mil or so.
Wild. All right, let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings and see what they got going on. There's no Cam Akers on the roster. Whoops. Who's the wide receiver 3 on this team? Is it little guy Powell? Now that
Jalen
KJ
Naylor.
Osborne's gone?
Jalen Naylor, I hear,
I do kind of dig Naylor. I have him on a few really deep rosters.
Michigan State. We do have a question in the chat. Are any of the Packer wide receivers worth drafting? So if you're talking about redraft, I think all of them kind of are. Romeo Dobbs really late. Dontavian Wicks really late. But Jane Reed, I think 6th or 7th in redraft.
Yeah, I think it'll go. Obviously, Reed will be the first one, and then Watson. I took Watson and Scott Fishbowl because the value was there, and I was looking for ceiling kind of players. So I took him in I want to say the 8th or the 9th round, maybe even later than that. He was slipping down the boards, and I'm like, you know what? YOLO. It's a big tournament. Like if he hits, he'll hit big. If he doesn't hit, then it is what it is. But yeah, I like Wicks. I feel like he's the guy that might be down on the depth chart, but the drumbeat has been steady, not only from analysts, but everyone out of Green Bay loves Dontavian Wicks. I could see him taking over Romeo Dobbs' role, or if there's an injury, Wicks is going to be a hot waiver wire pickup and redraft. And if you have him in Dynasty, he's still taxi eligible. Just put him down there until you need to call him up.
Rumor has it Wicks was going to be like a 2nd-round talent, but the fact that they had the incident at Virginia and COVID year really kind of dropped his, because he didn't play the COVID year, kind of dropped his price. So he has 2nd-round talent. It's just things didn't work out. And also, B. Cole in the chat, I think this was for Jameson. He asked if he should buy him for a mid-second. I'm pretty sure that's for Jameson Williams. I could be wrong, but that feels like it was right. Mid-second for Jameson.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. I think I'd do that. Yeah. Might as well.
The upside is there. If you hit, it's awesome. And a mid-second, I mean, let's be honest. I've used mid-seconds on LaVisca Chenault in years past. So
Jonathan Mingo.
Yes, there's mid-second receivers every year they get drafted, and then they just.
All right. So, now going back to Minnesota, Jalen Naylor is rumored to be.
You're going back to Minnesota. You're there right now.
And my question is, I mean, we all know about the quarterback situation. We don't need to go into that. That'll be fun to watch. I know Thor will be looking very intensely at JJ McCarthy and where he's at. But Ty Chandler, Aaron Jones, the running back situation to me is interesting because Aaron Jones, does he still have it? I think he has it. But
Did you see the way he finished the season?
Yeah. But the thing is, I think he needs to stay in that type of role. Like he needs 15 touches a game. He can't get maybe 20. But like Ty Chandler, is he going to come in? Ty Chandler hasn't been the picture of health. Who do they have behind him? That's another thing.
Nene Wangu and then Myles Gaskin.
The gas man. Who knows? Jeremy Munt is making a ton of money as a backup tight end, so he could be somebody looking.
Josh Oliver is also making a ton of money.
Yes, so they're really invested in the tight end position. But you know what? If you need to, go get TJ Hawkinson because the fear I think is way too much.
By the dip.
Yes, because he is a top 5 tight end, and if he didn't get hurt, he would be top 3 in Dynasty. But the fact that he has an ACL, all of a sudden he's out of the top 6. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's pretty cut and dry. There's nothing really crazy. The wide receiver 3 could be up for grabs. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's move on to everybody's offseason darling, the Chicago Bears. We all know they drafted Caleb with the 101. They went and signed DeAndre Swift as the first free agent signed off the board. They went out, they acquired Keenan Allen. They drafted Rome Odunze. I think this is the backfield for me because I still believe in Khalil Herbert as being a good NFL player. And Roshan Johnson, a lot of people loved. So the depth behind DeAndre is good. And again, a player that hasn't necessarily been the picture of health.
Yeah, I'm a big Khalil Herbert guy. Roshan is a good pass blocker and showed decent. Like I won't say he showed well, but he was decent.
He didn't flash to me at all, really.
Yep, he was, I think, just a guy. But for me, it is the running back or wide receivers. It's DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and you know what? I think Rome is the Jamar Chase. Like, the more and more I think about it, the two coming up together, kind of like Joe and Jamar, because Jamar came in Joe's second year, but I mean, let's be real, Joe got hurt.
Well, they were
pretty
also
much.
teammates.
Yes. And the connection that Rome and Caleb have this whole offseason, you kind of think about it and you're like, who's Caleb going to go to when he's under duress? Like, who's he going to trust more? And I honestly think it's going to be Rome that is one of those outstanding receivers. Like, he's like 1,200 yards. And
That would be a
like,
record.
And like 8 touchdowns. And I think he's going to have a massive, massive season. And everybody's overlooking because Keenan Allen's coming in. He's 31. DJ Moore, I think he's a great receiver, but we've all seen it. He's a good wide receiver too for an NFL team. I don't know if he's like an elite one. Rome is going to take a lot of pressure off DJ, which is good. But I think Rome is the receiver we're going to look at midway through and be like, this is the dude. Like, this is him.
I think a year from now, anyone who drafted Rome Odunze at like the 107, 108 is going to be like, what a gift to get him at that position in a draft. What do you think?
Yeah, easily. Like, at that position. And same with Jamar Chase. Kyle Pitts went ahead of Jamar Chase.
I got Chase at 105.
105,
in a couple of leagues. Yeah.
And I mean, this whole entire offseason, we talked about there's 3 elite receivers, and yet we pushed a lot of guys up. And like, everybody's like, oh, Rome would be the wide receiver 1 last year, and maybe even the year before that. It's like, then why are we taking him at 108 instead of, well, because, he's not going to play. JSN had the issue. Rome is
bet on talent.
Rome is more of an elite receiver than JSN by far.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Be interesting to see what he does in his rookie season. All right, we've got one division we saved the least for last. Sorry, Tyler. Let's go to the NFC South. We'll start with the champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know there's a rookie receiver that you like a lot who I think is going to be competing for the starting. Godwin looks like he's going to be the slot, right?
Yes.
They're going to move him to the slot full time. Who's your guy that you like? Training camp battle for the the outside flanker spot.
I mean, Jalen McMillan and Trey Palmer. I don't think will go away, but McMillan has been consistent. I've heard throughout camp. He's gotten some hype. He's had his name mentioned a couple of times, so I'm looking out for him. The running back behind Rachaad White, because I'm still not a Rachaad White fan.
It's ugly. It's Chase Edmonds, the ghost of Sean Tucker, unfortunately, and Bucky Irving, who they drafted.
Yeah, Bucky Irving is a good pass catcher. I think he's just as good as Rachaad White. Rachaad White is he's a Roschon Johnson type guy.
Who's good. I think he's given the opportunity. I don't think he's a great running back, but I think he's a solid NFL running back that gets a lot of opportunity.
He's early year Melvin Gordon, or early career Melvin Gordon, where he was like 700 yards on volume, and he had like 60 to 70 catches.
Will Bucky Irving be his Austin Eckler?
It could be. But yeah, the receiving core is definitely where it's at. Kadon, I think, is a man on top of the mountain. He really has no issues.
He's still a screaming buy in Dynasty, by the way.
Yes. But yeah, it's the receivers, and I think Chris Godwin is another screaming buy.
Yeah, I mean, you can get Godwin for a second, easy.
Which is nuts.
Yeah, and I would do that. We do have another ghost of Dynasty past. Woo, spooky on the Buccaneers. It's Sterling Shepard.
Oh my! Oh yeah, I remember they did sign him. Yeah,
he is a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Wowzers in my trousers. I didn't think I would say that name today. All right, and so behind Baker Mayfield, it's Baker Mayfield and log out for the Bucs. It's Kyle Trask and John Wolford.
Hey, remember when Trask was going to be the starter?
I do remember that talk, and that was
Pedrick Farm remembers.
Yeah, I remember. All right, let's move on to the salary cap strapped every year until the end of time. New Orleans Saints. Tyler, we've had some developments in the New Orleans Saints backfield today.
Ooh.
Yeah, not good ones, by the way. Talk to me.
Well, Kendra Miller has looked bad throughout the offseason, apparently. It hasn't been great news for Kendra Miller, so if you've gone out and purchased
injured again, coach is pissed.
Coach is not happy. And it's because he doesn't, and you know why? He doesn't take care of himself. That's probably the more likely outcome. The reason why coach is pissed. He's been hurt again. Like, he's probably not taking care of his body. He's not taking it as serious. He's injured all the time at TCU. Ultra talent, just doesn't put in the extra work to keep himself healthy. That's probably the issue. For me, it's the receivers behind Chris Olave that I'm interested in. I'm not a Saints fan. I never have been. I think Spencer Rattler is the quarterback of the future there. I hate that the Saints got him because I really like Rattler. I think Olave, as much as I dogged on him lately, I think he's in for a big season because
150 targets.
They have a new OC who is a new age guy instead of just, hey, we're just going to click auto pick on Madden. We're going to pick a play, and that's what we're going to run. We're going to do no motion.
Halfback dive. Dive.
No hot routes, no nothing like that. And that's what the Saints were last year. It was ugly. So Olave, I think, is in for a big year. And what's behind him? Tell us, Doug, what is behind him?
So they just signed Rashid Shaheed to an extension. Cool. I think he's a fun player, but I don't think he's a reliable target getter. The guy that I'm actually targeting, because you can get him dirt cheap, is A.T. Perry, who flashed last year. And then they have Cedric Wilson Jr., who's been a broke dick dog for the last 2 or 3 years. He signed a big deal with Miami, got hurt, never really played, wandered around the league. He had that big year with Dallas, remember?
Yeah.
Got paid, went to Miami, did nothing. They let him go. The Saints pick him up. They have Equinemius St. Brown if you're a fan of receiver, so you can root for Equinemius.
Or if you're a fan of Dynasty Happy Hour in 2017, 2016. And
Notre Dame kid. Oh no!
I loved Equinemius St. Brown.
You got double punched with the Precise Equinemius.
Precise St. Brown punch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You
both
got
balls.
You got punched in the undercarriage. One on each ball is speed bagging you. Thanks for drafting us, Tyler. Bow. No value returns. And now you have no nuts. Yeah.
That was a rough year.
Yeah. For the Saints too, Taysom Hill is still hanging around. Is he still going to be fantasy relevant somehow? The answer is probably yes.
But the best part is if he's involved, it means Dennis Allen won't be a coach anymore because they're going to be bad. And Dennis Allen, I think, is one of the most overrated head coaches in the NFL. I don't think he should be a coach. So, they're going to have a new.
If you're a win now team, go trade for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, 100%. Because Derek Carr is going to, go through eyeshadow like crazy because he's going to be bawling his eyes out. That
Kamara was the RB 6 or 7, even though he missed 3 or 4 games.
He had 10 targets a game because Derek Carr was scared.
Trash. Yeah, he's trash. Go take your eyeliner somewhere else, Derek.
But easily, I think Rattler plays by week 12.
Oh, just move on and just see what you got.
A coach will be fired, and then Rattler plays.
They just need to blow that, not the whole thing up, but part of it. They need to blow a big part of it up.
Did you hear Ryan Ramczyk?
He might not play again.
He isn't. They put him on the PUP, and since he's a veteran, that means he's out for the season. And apparently,
he might not. His career might be over. Yeah.
Apparently, the Saints were surprised that he was out for the year when they reported it. So I'm wondering if the Saints knew that this was the deal.
Oops, we meant to put him on the other list. Yeah. My bad.
Legit. Goofuses. Apparently, there's a little bit of shock that he was out for the year. Yeah, the Saints are a very, very poorly run organization after Breeze.
Too many beignets down there in the Big Easy.
And I'm loving it because if you guys there was headshot gate from the Vikings in the championship game, or when Favre was playing for the Vikings, they had people go after Favre and other players.
Oh, like Greg Williams with the
yeah. And then being a Falcons fan. So
Falcons, Mr. Falcon. All right, let's move on to the Carolina. We'll save the Falcons for last. I did that just for you. You're welcome. Let's go to the Carolina Panthers, who have a fairly wide open depth chart across a lot of the positions, I think. But I think it's a great opportunity to buy low on some of these players. Would you agree, Tyler?
Yes. Their wide receiving core is fun. I think Deontay Johnson's forgotten about. He's a good receiver. Xavier Legette, if he pans out, he's going to be everybody's favorite receiver to just enjoy.
mumbles Magoo over there.
But he is an ultra athlete. Like, I don't know what it
He
is
is
in
fun.
South. And if you go look at South Carolina this year, they've got another receiver that's 6'4", 242 pounds, can run like 4.3. Like that, I don't know what they're drinking over there, but it's working. Because Xavier Legette, a 4-star, like people are like, oh, he had a 1-year wonder. He was a 4-star dude. Like this guy came into the college being a very high recruit. So that's a good start. And it took him a while to pan out. There's a couple issues, with COVID and stuff. So it took him a while, but he busted his butt, played on special teams. So I really think Xavier Legette is the guy that I'm looking for in this offense. They trade up to get him. And also, Doug, there's a tight end that we also are looking forward to seeing, hopefully.
Jatavian Sanders, we like. He went with the first pick in the 4th round. I still like Tommy Tremble, who's another athletic kid, so it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. So speaking of Deontay Johnson, I was doing a Scott Fishbowl satellite draft, and I got Deontay Johnson as wide receiver 41 off the board. How crazy is that for value in a redraft league? So it just goes to show you, like, even in dynasty circles, Deontay is a screaming buy. And they just talked about it today. The new coach, whose name escapes me, the younger guy, Dave Canales. He said that the offense is going to run through Deontay. So, Deontay's already used to getting 130 to 150 targets a year, if not more. So he's used to that target monster role. So, yeah, Deontay is definitely a buy. And then, I still think that Jonathan Brooks is still, he's on the pup, obviously coming off, not the season-ending pup Ryan Ramczyk, no disrespect. But he's on the pup list for now. But I think once he comes off of it, he's going to make some noise. So I think there's still time to get in while the price is decent on Jonathan Brooks before it's too late.
Yeah, he's a guy kind of like with, if you remember Justin Herbert's rookie year, going into week 1, people are like, he's not going to start for a while. Well, this was a wasted pick. So then he fell to a second round pick for the following year. Like he fell in price. And that's where I snagged up a lot of them. I think it's going to be the same with Brooks, where it's like out of sight, out of mind. Chuba Hubbard, I traded for him with you, Doug. I think he's a good fill-in for the first 4 weeks. But then after that, it's Jonathan Brooks. And
they still have Miles Sanders there, who is making a lot of money.
A ton of money.
Yeah, maybe they give him some run. And Rashad Penny's there too, so yay. Tyler, I did find the funniest name I've seen today on this Carolina Panthers roster. Are you ready for it?
Hit me.
There is a player. He is a cornerback. His name is DiCaprio Boodle.
That is a great name.
That's a name. DiCaprio
that's a
Boodle.
Great name.
Shout out to you, my friend. You get the name of the day here on Dynasty Happy Hour, because that's a fun one.
I kind of hope he becomes something. You don't see too many funny names.
Boodle with the interception, and there goes Boodle. And if he did the Titanic celebration, if he scored,
yes,
DiCaprio Boodle, chef's kiss.
Yes,
what I'm saying.
100%.
All right, I'm gonna speak it into existence now. All right, Tyler, let's wrap up with your second, maybe favorite team. I don't know where you stack rank these guys anymore between Minnesota and Atlanta. It is your favorite team.
It will forever be my favorite team. Atlanta will forever be my team.
I just wanted some clarity. We're a lot of episodes in, and I don't know. So the Falcons are Tyler's favorite team. So I'm going to let him take the mic and bring us home.
Kirk Cousins, Penix at quarterback. We'll see how Kirk does, but it's Kirk's team for this year. Maybe next year, we'll see. But Penix will definitely be sitting this year. They got insurance. It's Bijan, Tyler Algier, log out. So, Bijan, they're talking about getting Christian McCaffrey work. And the footballers even stated in their last podcast, there's only one player that can outscore Christian McCaffrey that has the upside to do so, and they think it is Bijan.
Breece Hall? I'm sorry.
Breece, maybe. Now, we have somebody at Pitts to the moon. I do still worry about Pitts. There's a little tiny bit of me that's like, I really hope he works out. I love Kyle Pitts. But, man, the past 2 years of his health and just kind of not getting right has me a little worried still. So he needs a lot to hit. But the best part about it is they don't have a third receiver. So he's going to play a lot of the inline type role. Darnell Mooney.
Rondale Moore could be fun. They have Rondale Moore.
if we still have hopium for Rondell Moore, then
Hopium.
we are on major hopium.
Inject it into my veins, Tyler.
I mean, I loved Rondell Moore coming up, but as a kick returner, let's do it. That'll be fun with the new rules because he could just where'd he go? Oh my god, he's like a night crawler. He's over there. Let's go.
He could be a fun player out of the slot, though.
Yeah, if anybody, it's like playing on little person mode in Madden, like when you got tiny players.
I mean, there's literally nothing behind him. It's Ray McLeod, Casey Washington, Kaderl Hodge. Like, yikes!
Yeah,
They didn't even draft a receiver.
Casey Washington had some hype, but yeah, for Kyle Pitts, all things are lined up, and that's kind of what we want to see. And if it doesn't work this year, his value plummets. Like we're talking.
And you're still buying.
I probably would. And the thing is, he's still 23. He's 23 right now.
I can't quit you, Kyle Pitts. I can't quit you.
So Kyle Pitts, I think everything, if it's going to happen, it's going to be this year. And I mean, are we going to be disappointed if he's got 800 yards? Say,
no, I won't be disappointed with that.
Say 60 catches. But he has like 8 touchdowns. I think the 1,000 yards he had is going to make people be like, well, if he doesn't have 1,000, I'm out. Like, that sucks. He's
you know how rare it is? There's only like 2 or 3 tight ends a year that get 1,000, if that.
He had like 1 touchdown that year.
You know, last year he only on 90 targets last year. He had 53 receptions and 667 yards.
That's not a bad tight end season.
in his career, he's got 6 touchdowns. What's the over-under? Do you think he beats that this year?
Yes.
His career total?
100%.
At least doubles it, right? He has at least 6 this year?
Oh, I would probably say put 6, maybe 5 as a line. Like if Vegas had a line, it'd be 5. I bet the Vegas line is probably 4.
You're in the red zone, you're obviously looking at Drake London and Bijan. He's the number 3 in the red zone.
Easily. And they're already talking about putting him out wide, being receiver. So we've said with a couple of teams, I think it's cut and dry here. It's Bijan, it's Kirk, it's Pitts, it's Drake London, and maybe some Mooney. Mooney and best ball, I think, is where you want them. But yeah, those are the guys we want, and that's what they were drafted for. I mean, we all saw this team getting drafted. It's like, okay, now they need a quarterback. All right, Desmond Ridder. Nope, you suck. Okay, let's go pay. Okay, Desmond Ridder sucks so bad. They paid Cousins $100 million and then drafted somebody in the top 10. That's how bad. Like maybe we should look at it like that. That's how bad Ridder was. That they're like, shit, we really need to
more like Desmond Shitter. Am I right?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah,
because that's how they scared him. They scared Atlanta so bad. They're like, we need 2 of these guys.
We need to overcompensate. It's like a guy with a small penis driving a big ass truck.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I see that on the highway, they've got this jacked up truck to the gills, and I'm like, small penis every time. Maybe they're just a farmer. I don't know.
Big Fox sticker on the back. Fox motorcycle dirt bike.
Oh yeah. No truck nuts though. Then they definitely have a small penis if you have truck nuts on the back of your truck.
Yeah, B. Cole in the chat said Pitts was open a lot last year. He had the most air yards. What was it like? Something. Mm-hmm. There's like 5 different air yards now. Who knows?
Yeah, lots of air. All right, that is going to wrap us up. Tyler, any last words before we get on out of here?
No, it's good to have training camp back. You were at camp. I've been keeping track of everything. A good friend of ours, Memphis, once told me on his podcast, make yourself an Instagram account, a separate one, and just follow every NFL team, all 32. That's all you have on there. Because when training camp comes, you can see highlights and stuff. You can see how players are doing. It's actually nice. Like I never go on Instagram unless it's training camp season. And then I will actually go on and watch closely. Like, okay, who are they highlighting? Who are they showing? And how do they look? So
I agree. I did want to get a shout out to everyone in the chat. Active chat tonight, which is good. So thank you. We love to call you out in the chat if you got some good content that is relatable to what we got going on. We will shout it out and we'll react to it live here on YouTube. So make sure you like and subscribe. It always helps us out. Make sure if you're listening to us on either, well, it's not Google Play anymore because it's like YouTube audio, which I really don't like, to be honest. But if you listen on Apple Podcasts or iTunes or whatever the hell you got going on.
Spotify now has reviews.
Yep. Make sure you drop a like, leave a review. That always helps. We're always looking for feedback. If there's a particular segment you'd like to see, like maybe it's the Dynasty players of Ghosts of Past or whatever, or funny names. Like I'm here for all the DiCaprio. I even forgot his last name, Woodle or whatever it was. Yeah,
Boodle.
let us know. Boodle. Yeah, DiCaprio Boodle. That sounds like a Willy
Great.
Wonka character.
It does.
Only because in the new one there was a character named Noodle. That's why. That's how my brain works.
I haven't seen the new one, but I heard it's good.
It's good. It's on HBO Max. Shout out to them. Be a sponsor. We'll pump you.
Yeah. Not a sponsor.
Go check out Godzilla versus Kong, The Last Empire. Anywho. All right, we're going to get on out of here. We'll see you next week on the Dynasty Happy Hour. Hall of Fame games coming up soon, and we'll have football back in our veins for reals this time. We'll see you later.